Welcome back to the affirmation section of today's episode. I'm going to cover the blue crystal hand here. And what do we got? I dedicate in order to know, universalizing healing. I seal the store of accomplishment with the crystal tone of cooperation, and I am guided by the power of self-generation. I like this one. I dedicate in order to know, universalizing healing. I find it's like that knowledge it's like an architecture. You could say that it's like a crystal. In one aspect, knowledge can be like artifacts that we hold on to that can bog us down because they're filled with identity and they're filled with preconceived notions and potentially projections, which essentially riddle our reality with the belief that we know what's going on, and that can really shut us down from receiving that which is, because instead of opening ourselves up, we're tapping into our knowledge and projecting that on the situation and then imposing upon it as though we already know what's going on. And that's one of those classic patterns that the kind of divine feminine frequency is doing what it can to teach us about. It's like, okay, well, it doesn't really matter what you know. When you really know something, when you truly know something, you'll be invited to offer that. And so, like, until that time, just be in a state where you can receive and not resist. And when you're being called to participate, you will know. And so I just wanted to define that knowledge here. So I dedicate in order to know is it's like, as we find ourselves in that state of dedication, it's like a hyper focus. It's like a focalizing of the mind, not unsimilar to intent, which is like directing the force of your awareness. And so this dedication, because this dedication kind of crystallizes the aspect of what you're focusing on. And so this is what brings about that knowledge. And so that knowledge is like the container that dedication is stored in. And this then universalizes the healing, very much like we were talking about earlier. We came through the death process and now we're coming through healing. And so this aspect of the healing is crystallized and it becomes present throughout the entirety of that knowledge that one is dedicated to. Because that knowledge is the kind of form, the dedication in some way is the intent, the will, the heart, or the spirit that is within it. And the universalization is kind of the filling of that space. And the healing is the process of mending, nurturing, and rebirth that goes on, that sustains the well-being within. I seal the store of accomplishment with the crystal toe of cooperation. So the nature of accomplishment here is really defined by how we show up in that community. Because a large part of this, especially with the crystal tone, is the crystal tone is really all about like cooperation. It's about community. It's about the round table. It's about doing things as a team. And so this is that day that's saying that as we participate in that collective, as we do things together, that's going to kind of mark how this energy, that kind of the first two bars here, I dedicate in order to know, universalizing healing, that is the accomplishment. To accomplish healing of that level, we're going to be doing that with cooperation. And so we're going to be cooperating in order to universalize that healing through the process of dedicating in order to know. And so that's how that kind of works. And I'm by the power of self-generation. I find this is very indicative of, in this process, this dedicate in order to know, that knowledge is like a direct knowledge of self. And so the storm also kind of represents the pieces or of that knowledge of self that has come from the like scattered energy that is the storm, and that eye of the storm opens up, and that's where the self-generation happens. There's like a toroidal magnitude there of self-cultivation or self-generation. And so this aspect of healing in some way gets pulled up in the center and begins to nurture the entire thing, like this kind of inner energy vortex. Not in like Kundalini, not in like any one of the meditations. There's so many ways to it gives you kind of all analogies, and there's so many ways to apply this in a way that really feels good to you and works for you. So it really feels like this whole day is about really opening up to that which we've mended, that which we're in the process of healing, and just allowing that to generate, crystallize that, and really go into that for yourself. Okay, I dedicate in order to know, universalizing healing. I seal the story of accomplishment with the crystal tone of cooperation. I am guided by the power of self-generation. Okay, so let's continue to the oracle section of today's episode. Stay tuned. Stay attuned.